I think the last time, the reason we had the problem was because I didn't have auto rotate on.
Oh.
And so I made sure that auto rotate's on now, so we should be good.
Well, we'll find out pretty quick.
And then we'll just ask and make sure that we got it right before we get into it too far. Once we have a few people on.
We are up to 1.
Up to 1.
Yeah.
All right.
Good morning.
My guess is it's somebody related to Chris. It usually is.
Oh, yeah?
Up to 4.
All right, so just a quick thing. Before we get too far into it, anybody that's watching, let us know if the camera is at the right angle and not sideways like it was last time. We'll just wait for a second, make sure.
I thought we were trying to do sideways. It looked great last time.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
You need to raise your standards, Cory.
Well, I need to fix this because I was trying for sideways.
All right, so I guess
No
nobody.
comments yet? Yeah, I guess
Okay.
we'll
So
do
we're-
it until they tell us not to.
all right, so this one is What's Bugging You Live.
That's right.
That's become my new favorite part of these
Is
videos,
it
by
the
way, yeah.
beginning?
Yeah.
The very
The
beginning is your favorite
Awesome.
part?
Yeah. After that, I'd sign out.
It's downhill from there?
Yeah, this is awesome.
All right, I guess we'll get going then. So we got some people live.
Yeah, up to 19. You better hurry.
Oh, 19,
Crowd's
wow.
watching, yeah.
Okay, great. So, hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Zamzo's Live. Again, we're back doing a live video today. I do want to just real quick point out, if you notice any crackling on the mic, please let Cory know. Cory, just if you see that, just jiggle the thing at the mic, not in the phone.
Okay.
Because I've had a few issues with that. So just let us know if you notice that. And also, if anybody comments, let us know that the screen is the right direction. And today, we're doing What's Bugging You. Today, what's bugging me is Chris, actually. He's
Perfect.
he's been a little...
First thing in the morning. Get started out right.
he's been a little touchy today, so... So we're going to talk about bugs today. We're going to kind of focus a lot on beneficials because I'm just always excited about beneficials. I think they're an underutilized form of bug control, and they're a lot of fun because they're cool bugs. They get to do a lot of things for us. And so we're going to show you some of those, some different ones that we haven't had in the past, and we're going to talk about some other conventional things, conventional controls as well. So that's what we're talking about today. I do have to, I guess, eat crow. Cory won the hanging basket challenge last week.
Yes.
So congratulations, Cory! Yay! You won.
Don't be
we
so
did
excited.
we did have a winner, but I couldn't get in contact with them, so I'm going to try to do that later this next week. But yeah, Cory, you get to have bragging rights. I think our next one will be able to do a little update on the baskets, how they're doing. Cory's is not doing as well as mine.
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
And hopefully we can beat this rain. It looks like it's going to rain, but hopefully we won't. The other thing we wanted to do real quick is show you an update on the garden. We've done 2 videos for the garden here, so I thought we could take a look. First thing I want to note is
most important.
look at what we got here. Look at what we got here. We got a little potato growing. Chris said it was going to die, but my superior planting skills have saved its life, and
Yep.
you're welcome.
It looks great. It's actually doing really well.
Who'd have thought Nolan's potato would just be slow?
So yeah, we got. I'm trying to think of. I think we planted all this stuff for
All
a
of it. Yeah,
good
the onions,
majority of
for
it.
sure.
You planted
Yeah.
some of the onions. They're looking nice.
Yeah, onions are
Mine are
doing
bigger
really
at
well.
home, but
The radish.
that's not.
Radishes, we've already harvested quite a few.
Yeah, you got some popping out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing really
There's a lot
well.
of radishes.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna steal a few of those. And then we got
Yep.
the peas
Peas.
are growing, looking
Easy,
good.
Yeah.
And they're thick.
Got one rogue
Yeah.
radish here.
Yeah, I know.
Rogue radish.
Rogue radish, okay.
Rogue radish.
And then we got some peppers.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one I planted. Probably the tallest one. Probably that one
Actually,
right there.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm right.
Yep, pretty sure.
So the peppers are doing good. We got a couple tomatoes here. Looking nice. All caged up. Got some blooms starting.
Yeah.
I would say I planted
There's
my
even-
tomatoes a little later, but yours are definitely taller than mine right now.
Even a little mater.
Oh yeah. Sure enough.
Yeah, now make sure you show the one that he screwed up.
Hey, it's coming out of it. This is what happens when you leave the wall of water on too long. Got a
It's
little leaf scorch going on. Got a little hot.
The new growth's
But
coming in nice.
New growth will be fine. Yep.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean all
not-
this stuff,
I'm not worried.
it's gonna go crazy, especially with this heat. It's gonna go crazy here pretty quick. Should grow out of all that.
Yeah.
And then we didn't
And
plant
these are
any of this. You just had this from last time.
This is your garlic, right?
This is the garlic and these are shallots.
Nice.
Yeah. All up and growing.
So, yeah.
Nice.
If you have any questions about what's going on, what you might be seeing in your garden, if something is bugging you in the garden, whether it's bugs or otherwise, feel free to ask questions. We will be answering those as we go. But first, so we'll get into the bug stuff.
Yeah.
The first one I think is ladybugs. So we're going to actually walk out to the front. We've got everything set up. We found Chris has a lot of bugs in his garden, but we found the best concentration out front. So that's why we're going to do some organic controls and start to take care of these. So let's we're going to walk for a minute out to the front here.
Do you guys want to talk about your matching shirts, or just let that be a
Oh
happy
yeah,
accident?
we should. I don't know if we're
Yeah,
going to
probably.
sell these. I know
don't
there's
think
some
so.
extra, but these are the What's Bugging You shirts
That's right.
we had made.
You'll see them in the stores a lot. All
Yeah.
the employees are wearing
Next
them.
couple weeks, we're kind of really focusing on some of these bug controls and different things, because when you have those few weeks of wet followed by warm weather, a lot of stuff starts happening and a lot of bad stuff starts happening. You start to know things. You will notice a lag effect, and that's something that we kind of forget, right? We start to see things happen, and we forget that, we had a rain a few weeks ago. I mean, it was just last week. It was raining like crazy.
Yeah.
And we had a really warm week. So a lot of things start to happen about a week or two later. So you'll start to notice some of these things. And we found some stuff over here, so we're going to show you that stuff.
Yeah, like Cory said this last week, that's where all the earwigs are hatching.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah, they
out
came
with
out of
a
nowhere.
force, and aphids too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Which we found.
Yeah, we did find something. All right. First one's the ladybug, yeah. And then I'm going to take out the lacewing. We're going to do those as the roses, I think.
As the roses.
Yeah. So actually, before we get into that, I just want to show, we're going to talk about nematodes here in a second, but I just wanted to show everybody real quick. We've got this set up. This takes about an hour. These are nematodes, and it's just a little stuff you put in this bag. You soak it in water, and this is nematode water now.
Yep.
They are microscopic. They are
About 7 million.
7
in
million
that bucket now.
nematodes. Hey, there's one.
Crazy.
There's one. There's one.
Count them.
So anyway, we're gonna do this here in a bit. I'm gonna get into it, but just to show you how this is kind of the setup. Comes in a box like this. There's two different kinds. I'm not 100% sure what the difference is. One's more, I think, for more grubs, but this one also lists grubs, so I think they're pretty versatile. But I'm gonna show you how to do this here in a minute. So.
Nice. Yeah, we'll talk more about that one. But so first, we're gonna talk about ladybugs. Huge benefits to ladybugs, and probably one of the most common bugs that are brought into me is the ladybug larvae. So I did want to show that. They have a nice little cartoony picture of it there, but very alien-looking critter.
They're not as pretty as ladybugs.
No, not
adults.
pretty at all. It freaks a lot of people out, but they're actually the best for eating. I mean, that's their only job at this point, is eating aphids or any soft-bodied insects, spider mites, clover mites, which we learned earlier from Nolan that there's also a spider mite. I did not know.
They're the same thing. They're both mites. They're both spiders.
mites.
Gosh.
The ladybugs, we're actually going to release some right now on Spirea.
Are we gonna do the rosebush?
Or, I'm sorry, yeah, we're going to do the rosebush. Yeah, normally you want to wait till dusk. During the day, you have a better chance of them flying.
Actually,
They
this
do 'em.
cloud cover is kind of almost perfect.
It
It's
is.
almost kind of simulating dusk.
But normally I'd wait till dusk. At dusk they'll crawl, during the day they'll fly. But hopefully there's quite a good little food source over here on this rose bush.
Good food source means he's got lots of aphids.
Lots of aphids. I don't know if you can see them. And that's another thing that people come in all the time and go, what is this red bug? What is this black bug? What is this yellow bug? Aphids come in all different colors.
I think we
Some
found
with
we found
wings.
3 different colors on this one rose
Yeah,
bush.
I can see red, kind of a burgundy, and green just on this stem. There's a real orangey one. Yeah, they're moving. They're active. There's a.
Gonna pick it up.
Can't quite see it. There's a good black one.
Here's a bunch of red ones.
There you go. Yeah, yeah, and there's actually a green one, kind of burgundy. I mean, they come in different sizes. Some with wings.
Some
there's
that are
a
fuzzy.
green. Yeah, the woolly aphid. I mean, it looks like powdery mildew almost, but it's actually an aphid. So, all different shapes, colors, sizes. They're all jerks. Yeah, so they're just attached to the plant. They suck the sugars out of it, which ants actually love. What they call honeydew. It's just a nice way of saying aphid poop, but it's pure sugar, really sweet, and ants actually love it too. So if you see ants crawling all over, they're probably harvesting the poo.
Yeah, not damaging the plant. Yeah.
Nice. So we're gonna release some of these ladybugs. I don't remember how many's in this cup. Is it 1,500?
1,000 to 1,500.
1,000 to 1,500. I am just gonna take the lid off and set the cup down in it and let them crawl out.
We'll come back and check and
Yeah.
see their progress.
And they're warmed up, so they're moving around quite a bit.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, you can see them.
Oh yeah. Crawling all
Everybody
over
there.
you.
See them flying away? That's really why you want to do it at desk. I'm actually gonna take the lid and put it underneath, so hopefully they'll
And then
crawl up.
let's get that lacewing cup out of there too.
Yeah, so this particular cup we got had a mix of ladybugs and lacewing in it. But yeah, they are active.
So I brought the house over if you want to talk about that too.
Nice. Covered in ladybugs.
It's the story of your life.
That's right. Still covered. And we also got the house in. I think it's a really fun thing for kids, but again, any way you can keep them in your yard, I mean, the more the better. It's a great little house for them. How'd you open that, Nolan?
Bottom.
At the bottom. Oh, look at that.
I knocked a few in there.
Oh, nice. There we go. It has a nice little honeycomb for them. They can make their nests, do their hatching in there, and all that. And other bugs will be attracted to that honeycomb too.
Lacewings will actually go in there as well.
And I think some that they'll chew on, I think, are also attracted to that. It's just a fun little thing you can mount to a post. Mount, yeah, anywhere you want. But
I mean, yeah, you could just set it right here. Yeah, set it up on the fence like that, and you're good to go.
boy, it's even the right height. It was made for it.
Yeah, looks like it. All right, so we're gonna check back on the ladybugs here in a moment. You can see they're getting going.
Actually, they're doing a nice job of crawling.
Nice. Yeah, I think this overcast sky is helping them stick around.
But anything soft-bodied, they will eat. It's not just aphids. It's actually pretty extensive, the amount of bugs that they will eat.
Yeah, really good one. And then remember, it's going to take these adults, they're going to be around for about 10 days or so, and then you won't see them for a while because they're going to lay their eggs, and then you're going to be about 10 to 14 days after that, so you're looking at about 2 to 3 weeks. That's when you might start seeing the larvae, seeing the larvae show up and noticing those scattered around. And they'll move around. We put them on this shrub, but they're gonna get going. They're gonna find lots of places to go. So
One just flew off.
yes. Okay. So the next one here we have is the lacewings. As Chris mentioned, the lacewing cup, or that's a combo, ladybug and lacewing combo. So this actually comes with an extra little cup here, and this has got, I think, something like 500 lacewing eggs in it. They're really small. Lacewings are another really, I mean, they're a great beneficial. The adults don't do anything. They actually don't eat other bugs or anything else. They eat pollen and stuff like that they might encounter, but they're just a harmless little green thing, probably good for trout fishing.
Yeah.
The real thing for them is the larva, which looks very similar to a ladybug larva. They're a little bit smaller, and but they eat like twice as many aphids as ladybugs do. They're ravenous. I think in their lifetime, I think they'll eat something like 10,000 ladybug or aphids. So, and they'll eat other bugs as well. Also, another thing I kind of learned that's kind of fun about these, a lot of times the little larvae will pick up the dead bugs that they've eaten and little debris, and they'll make a little net backpack to hide themselves.
Oh, weird. I didn't know that.
Terrifying.
Yeah. So they don't all do it, but sometimes you'll notice if you see little specks of stuff crawling around, a lot of times it's at lacewing, and they've made a little camouflage for themselves, and they use it to hide and crawl around and ambush their prey. They are ravenous little guys. They eat
bragging
a lot.
rights.
Yeah, we're bragging
Yeah.
rights. Yeah, you're carrying your fallen enemies.
Kill. Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and put the lacewings over here on the spirea. You doing all right there, Cory?
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't seen any comments yet. I was
Okay.
just hoping
Yeah, if
everything's
you do
working
have
right.
comments, just throw them out. So we're going to show you the spirea over here. And we found some aphids on this one. These ones were a little bit,
Yeah, you probably won't be
harder
able to see them. Green on green.
yeah, they're smaller, but they're in there.
They're in there, and they always love the newest growth. Once
yeah,
it
there's
gets
some.
kind of barked over, a little more woody, they can't attach to it. But that
Oh.
new growth that's
Here's-
real fleshy,
Here's a good one actually over here, Cory.
yeah, that one's loaded.
You can see this one here, and
Oh,
also
yeah.
you can see their shed as well. That's another thing. A lot of people will see this shed. This is from when they grow. This is their old skin.
Is that a ladybug larvae?
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, sure
yeah,
enough.
there we go.
All right,
That's one right there. He's going to town.
he's getting it done.
Yep, so that's the larvae. You can kind of see the size of them.
And I think that's a really good point you made, Chris. The newer growth is always more susceptible to aphids. They want a soft, succulent, fleshy stuff to eat. So that's why a lot of times you'll see them on your things that you're using a chemical-based fertilizer that causes a lot of growth. The only thing a plant can do with nitrogen is grow. And to grow, it has to stretch out its cell walls to get to that height. And when it stretches out the cell walls, it makes the lunch a lot easier to get to. So you'll see a lot of aphids in those situations.
Yep. Hey, one thing Joss always says is, how do you keep bugs off of your plants? And it's just make them healthier than your neighbors. Because they're lazy. They want the easy lunch. So if your plant is...
So I'm really excited about the lacewings because as far as I know, we've not carried these before.
No, we
I think
haven't.
they've always been special order. But you can see, I mean, this is all it looks like. There's a bunch of eggs in there. And, you know, it doesn't look like much, but they're in there. And they'll hatch out in a couple days. And they'll just start going. And so what I'm going to do, we could probably shake it out. I don't think that's really worth it. I'm just going to do like what Chris did. I'm just going to set this lid over here. We'll just leave it right on the shrub. And we'll just put that one right there. And there you go. That's all you got to do for lacewings. And then again, they're going to, you know, the thing about beneficials is they've got this life cycle where they're going to go from the larval stage to adults, and then the adults move out and make a new larval stage. So they just kind of keep moving out and further. So they start to do a lot of work for you, and it can really start to reduce the chemical need that you might, you know, have been relying on in the past.
And it is way easier than mixing and spraying. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. And
yeah.
and it's, you know, it's something you don't have to think about as much. You just know that they're out there doing their thing and taking care of stuff. So it's slower. So if you want that instant gratification, you're not going to get that with these, right? So sometimes there is a need for corrective chemistry, you know, something that's going to knock them down really fast. That's why if you want to employ those plus another beneficial insect, it's better to use an organic, because while you can't apply even an organic chemical on an area where you've just released them, you can do that and then put your beneficials out later, because they
Correct.
have less time where they're going to be, it's going to affect them. So it's really, really helpful that way. So it's really easy bug control. Those are lacewings, and
Yeah, I think it's better than spraying, because there's not a spray that'll pick a ladybug, but not an aphid.
Right,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yep. So
And like I said,
Just
I don't,
keeps your
you know, and I
beneficials.
I think it's worth having some of the other things, you know, when you absolutely need it. That's the thing I think we want to try to really kind of propagate, if you will, is like using those things when they're needed, and then using some of these other things that just kind of do work for you. You don't have to think about it as much. They're just out there doing their thing.
yeah, especially like this other row of spirea. over here. It's not flowering, it's not doing really anything but foliage, so there's not going to be anything beneficial on it. Where if you cross the sidewalk, have the salvia in full bloom, and the bees are they're working it like crazy. So that you really would not want to spray that. Period, just for the bees' sake.
Yep, the most
They-
natural
they
organic
are
spray in
out.
the world will still kill a bee if you
Yeah,
spray them.
yeah, it will.
Yeah.
So you just want to be cautious of that as you're spraying. Don't blanket spray. Just take care of the problem and be done.
Next is mantids.
Mantids. I think praying mantids are super cool. I think one of the coolest videos I saw was a praying mantid luring a black widow out. And I stuck his, I don't know what you call it, a hand? Is it a hand? Sure, why not? Yeah, that thing. Stuck it in the web and he just shook it. And that black widow came running out and he just grabbed it with the other hand. It was a pretty cool video. But you'll see their egg sacs. I see them on fence posts a lot. And a lot of people, again, don't know what it is. So that is a praying mantid egg. Again, very, very bizarre looking, but they love to attach to the side of a tree or a wood post or something like that. So if you see that, very beneficial. There's something like 250 mantids in an egg. Does that sound right, Cory?
Yeah, 250 to 500 even, I think.
250 to 500, something like that. And it's important to know because people come in all the time and go, it looks the same. I don't think I got a hatch. But it's important to know that they will just exit it and it will look totally the same. You can't tell that there was a hatch. So again with this, I've had people put them in a jar so the kids can watch them hatch, which is okay. Just make sure it's somewhat cool, 70, 75 degrees, not sitting out in the sun because that would get too hot for them. And then once they hatch, you need to let them go immediately because they're hungry.
They will eat their brothers and sisters.
They will. Yep. So you want to give them the space to go. So once they hatch, you show the kids and then let them be. But otherwise, I would recommend just finding a nice woody shrub or something kind of dense that you can hide that in. Because again, birds love to eat them too. So
When they're
give them a
young,
good
particularly,
hiding
yeah.
place, and just let them go. But they eat a lot more insects than even the ladybug. Remember, spiders they'll do, aphids. I don't know if they'll do spider mites. That might be too small for them. I'm honestly not sure.
I don't
though.
remember. I don't recall seeing that on there. The thing I did notice about mantids, they don't eat as much per day. Like when you talk about the numbers that like the lacewings and the ladybugs eat, it's in the hundreds. Mantids are only going to eat 5 to 10 bugs a day, depending on the size. They don't eat as much, but the nice thing about the mantids is their season is a lot longer, so they're going to be active all the way into frost. That's when they're finally going to be kind of calling it quits for the year, and the females are going to be laying those egg sacs. So they're very elusive, though. It's hard to find them.
It is. Yeah, it's a rare sighting.
Yeah, chances are you'll just be, bebopping around in the garden, and then all of a sudden, whoa, there's one. And they'll hang out for a bit. You don't want to hold them for too long, but they are fun, and they get really big, too.
They do get big.
And they're just like little garden ninjas. They just hide and show up when they're needed. So, and it might be a good idea to move them somewhere other than where you've released ladybugs, because they will eat ladybugs as well, but put them in a different spot. Mantids are a little less discriminate about what they'll eat. They'll pretty much eat whatever they come across. So yeah, they're a fun one.
They are.
And once you get some out there, chances are you got a really good chance of them repopulating themselves year after year.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very, very good at that. They're very hardy bugs. So, okay, next one is the nematodes, which I've got started over here. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Still no comments have popped up. Hopefully
Okay,
everything's
no
working
worries.
right.
If you have comments about other things, it doesn't have to be bugs. We'll take any kind of question. So, Cory, we showed this already, but I just want to kind of go over kind of what you're going to get with this box. It's going to have this sack that you see in there, and then it comes with a cup. And I think we've had this going for about an hour now, so we're probably good.
We should be an hour.
So it comes with this little cup, and it's got this. I think this is vermiculite that it comes in. And of course I tied this, and hopefully I can get it untied. And there we go. So they inoculate this vermiculite with it, with the nematodes. And nematodes are just a simple worm. I think that's what you did in like science class, where you cut their head in half and they grew another one.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys ever do that?
No.
I think those were nematodes. Anyway, they're microscopic. You can't see them. You got to have a microscope to see them. But anyway, it comes just as vermiculite
Oh yeah.
is what they're in, and you just kind of let it soak, and they come out. You get nematode water. See, I'm gonna give Chris. Chris has got nematodes now.
You've been nemified.
You've been inoculated. and then you can actually.
Way to kill the bees.
Yikes. Yeah, there is something wrong. There's a ton of comments. And
Oh, really?
yeah.
Oh.
Is it still filming?
Yeah.
Is it the sound? What's the?
You guys are getting comments.
There's comments, but it's not showing up on the screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
So we have been ignoring people. I'm really sorry about that.
Maybe Christine, can you read off a few for us?
One lady, Rachel, what is eating my broccoli leaves?
Oh, what's eating your broccoli leaves? Probably earwigs.
I would bet earwigs, which we have some damage we can show you. We're gonna
Yeah.
get into earwigs. Yep. So we'll talk about that one.
And then Kelly, my 3-year-old thundering plum, has leaves that are starting to curl up and a bit shiny and sticky.
Oh, yeah.
No insects.
That's definitely aphids.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear Christine, but the plum tree question where the leaves are curling up and they're shiny and sticky, that shiny sticky is the honeydew we were talking about. That's
Yeah,
aphid
and
poop.
Sometimes with aphids, they might be up higher in the tree where you can't see them, and it's dripping down. So it's probably aphids.
She said she thrived it this week. Now what?
We'll actually be able to answer that one. We have that one scheduled for a little bit later on.
And then a couple comments on Mantis eggs. Just that they hatched and then they got a second hatch. Does
nice.
the color of Mantids change?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen them really pale white or almost a tan
Yeah.
and a dark green. Yeah. So the mantid color will change.
And I've always thought that's kind of where they live. You know what I mean? Almost like a chameleon effect.
A bit, yeah. Or their diet.
Yeah,
I think
probably
would
has.
affect it.
I think later in the year they tend to be a little paler too.
Cotton scale. A lady has cotton scale on her maple tree. She was
Very common on a maple tree. Yeah, so cottony scale, you'll see it. It's a white. I mean, it looks like cotton attached to the tree. Very common on maples. And that little cocoon they put over themselves, you can't penetrate with a spray. So you could do a suffocant, like a dormant oil or the neem oil, something that'll coat it and suffocate it. But I think it's a lot easier to use a systemic, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And
Also-
scale's interesting because it looks more like a growth coming from the tree. I mean, it doesn't look like a traditional bug.
You're right. You don't know it's a bug till you squish it and it pops.
Do you have your phone on you, Chris?
I don't.
Maybe we can. Christine, maybe. Are you able to see him, Cory? Sorry for
No,
the
no
delay.
comments at all.
Not on your
Nothing
phone
showing
even.
up. I'm not watching it from
Oh,
my
okay.
phone.
Do you have Facebook on your phone?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you grab your phone? I'll do the nematodes, and maybe you can grab it. That way, Christine can.
my Facebook just froze.
Okay. But it was still filming everything. Or it was still going through, Christine. Right?
Theoretically, we still have.
Mine
Viewers.
just froze. But
Sorry,
it was.
everybody. This is.
Highly unusual.
Oh. They just started popping up randomly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jennifer just asked, after watching your garden planting video, I bought 8 dust in a bag and bug and slug for my garden. Which product do I use for certain bugs, and how do I distribute the 8 dust?
8 dust, you can, it comes in a bag, right? So the best thing for an 8 dust is like something like a mustard bottle, an empty mustard bottle that, like the yellow ones. You can use something like that. Or you can get one of the dusters. I didn't bring one, I was thinking about it, but you can bring one of the dusters like from, the old-timey ones. You fill up the container and then it has a little handle that you poof the dust out. That's probably one of the best ways to apply it because you can get it into really good areas and it spreads out really well. So So that's probably the best way to do the dust, but you can do it with something as simple as just a little mustard bottle, little something, and you don't want to fill it all the way up. Only fill it up about halfway, and then when you squeeze it, it will poof out of there, and that's what you want to get. The bug and slug is the best thing to do there is just really broadcast it over the entire area. Don't make piles of it. You really want to spread it out and put it all over the place.
Perfect. I think we're caught up.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. I'm gonna blame Cory.
That's probably fair. Yeah.
All right, well, Chris will be back here in a second, so I'll just keep going with the nematodes. So the nematodes, they're just a beneficial little, they're a simple worm, I think is their classification. But they, you just squeeze them out of there, and then what you do, you can take this vermiculite, and you can actually spread this vermiculite back out amongst your garden. So I'm just gonna put it back in this little cup for now, with the bag and everything, just to, we'll show that here in a second. And then all you got to do, this will cover 2,000 square feet, and this was 2 gallons of mix. There's different ways to apply it. You can use a pump sprayer, you can use a hose end sprayer. We're just going to use a watering can because it's simple. Chris, you mind holding that? Just,
Yeah, it'll be a trick for sure.
we'll see how much nematode water I can get on Chris.
Jennifer, while you're pouring that and applying it, Jennifer asked, what bugs do I use 8 dust for, and what for bug and slug for?
8 dust is pretty non-selective. It's my favorite for any beetle, especially the squash bug on your vegetable garden. But it's pretty non-selective. It'll do pretty much anything but a slug or a snail, and spider mite. Yeah. But anything else, that one will take care of.
And the bug and slug really does well with any of your slugs or snails. It does earwigs, it does ants.
Great job on.
It'll do pill
ants.
bugs.
Yep. Pill bug is the roly-poly. Which, while he's doing that, I don't know, is chinch bug on that label
I think so.
for nematodes?
Yeah.
'Cause we found some.
We found a bunch, and
Katie Brown just popped on, just jumping in, so you might have already answered this question. What are the best bug for gardens?
best beneficial bugs
Yeah.
for gardens. Boy, I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. I mean, aphids are non-selective; they'll eat anything. Yeah, so you could do ladybugs or praying mantids, either or the lacewing.
I think
Yeah,
the biggest thing is to have something there when you put them out.
Now, I got this question the other day, and I'd never really thought about it, but you know, when you're doing your garden and you're really relying on that flower, you're going to obviously have bees in the garden. Will a mantid kill a bee?
That is a great question. I honestly don't know. I don't think the bee lands or sits still long enough for a mantid to grab it. They're kind of hitting the flower. So
You probably, if it could,
If it could,
it
it
would.
would.
Grab it, it definitely would.
grab it. Yep.
I don't think they're going to be.
They're not going to decimate the bee
No, they're
population.
not going to be a
No.
serious issue.
Which this I see every year. Talk about chinch bugs. 'Cause chinch bugs love heat. So where's the best heat coming from? Your asphalt here or your concrete, and this is always your most stressed area of your lawn. Generally, your lawnmower, you have a wheel running here and a wheel up here, so you'll scalp the edge of your lawn. So it's always the driest, the hottest. There's usually rock and gravel under that from the road mix that they poured that concrete on.
Weed eaters are famous for scalping
Weed
that and
eaters,
really
yep,
thinning that out
scalping
too.
it, so it's usually your most stressed area, and it's usually where all your weeds start too. And
Oh yeah, you got some good ones. Look at that.
yeah, here's some good. Alright, thanks, Cory.
I know somebody who knows how to take care of that. I'll get you
Oh,
with them
nice.
later.
Get
yeah.
me in contact.
Yeah.
Boy, now that the sun went away, I can't find them. But when we were out earlier, this was good and hot. There's one.
Chinch bugs everywhere. I don't know that the camera will pick that up.
I don't know either, but they're super tiny. There's a clover mite. Yeah, you can see he's a quarter of the size of an ant.
There it
They're
is.
super small. That's a chinch bug. And I get them here every year, but as long as your lawn is healthy, you won't really see the effects of them. It's when it gets really stressed, goes a week or so without water in July, August, or hasn't been fed in a while. That's when you'll show the effects of it. But I get them here every year, and I generally don't put on a control. I haven't seen enough damage to justify putting down the control. But that's usually where they start. Say they love the heat. So I'm hoping the stuff Nolan put down will take care of them naturally.
Well, I did a really good job of putting them out there, so...
Yeah, it was a definite professional job. Another thing you might see that's really bugging you, got a nice little ant pile over here. And they're out in force right now. And again, I mean, they don't do a ton of damage. So generally they don't bother me until they start coming in the house.
Yeah. I think the thing to remember with ants is they're secondary. They find problems and then they get into those problems. They're not usually the cause of the problem. They're a way to know that there's something going on. In this case, it's that Chris isn't very good at taking care of his lawn.
That's right.
Did you go through the sample?
No, we haven't touched the sample.
Real quick, Katie has asked, when would you release bugs into your garden? And would you do it for precaution or once you see a bug problem?
I generally would wait till you see a problem, just because if there's not a food source, they're gonna leave. They're gonna go somewhere else. So once you have a food source for them, then release them. But I'd always do right at dusk, right at sunset.
Yeah,
That's
not
the
what
best
we
time.
did.
Yeah, not what we did. We did it just for video purposes, but generally you want to wait till sunset. That way they make nest and don't fly away.
Cool. So we got a sample. So as we get into the summer, we start to have a lot of people with problems, and we always say, bring us a sample. And so we talked about it early on in the lawn video we did a couple weeks ago, or months ago now.
Mm-hmm.
As we get closer, it's just a good reminder to know what a sample is. A lot of times, we get a sample and it's just that much. That's not, it's not always the most helpful.
Or if you reach into your bag of grass clippings, we can't tell. I can just tell you that's dead grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we ask for a sample, we want something, I mean, this is probably bigger than what we really need, but you want something about, a foot by a foot. And if you can actually get the soil in, this is actually, I cut way too far down.
Yeah, it's not your lawn. What's it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this is where you would find grubs, right in this area here, not this far down, but usually right in here. And you can see actually Chris does not have a thatch layer, which is very good. And that's probably why, a big reason why the chinch bugs never get into a large enough population. But if we get a sample that's about this size, like I said, it doesn't have to be this deep. I just was getting really overexcited with the shovel. Something about that deep is fine. And you can even see a little chinch bug in there.
Yep.
They're crawling around. And it's okay. We just put nematodes in, so they're going to die soon. But what's nice about a big sample like that is it can go right back into the ground.
That's right.
And you'll never even know that it was gone. So it's very, very easy. Try to get a good area, and preferably where Chris is, despite what I say, Chris has a pretty good lawn all the time. You want to have where it's the good and bad's coming together is ideal, because then we can see what is bad and then what is good and what's in between.
Yeah, that transitional period tells a heck of a story.
Right, that's where we're going to see the problem. If it's already dead, like Chris said, we can just tell you it's dead. But if we can see what's dying, that's what we need to see. What's dying is what we want to see, so we can make a good recommendation on how to proceed.
Yeah, by the time it's dead, the bugs have moved on. They're done with that spot.
Done.
Yeah, and they move fast. I mean, you'd think that little legless grub couldn't move anywhere, but they crawl through.
I think that adult can move a half a mile a day.
Right.
The adult bill bug.
So they get a lot done, especially when the food source is good. Let's see, I think next we had some conventional stuff, but I want to just really quickly finish up with the nematodes. Cory, if we could head towards the garden, I'm just going to let these out around your plants.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we're going to just take, this is the vermiculite from the nematodes. And
The good stuff, if you will.
The good, yeah, the other good stuff. I finished applying. We got the whole front yard here covered. I got a little bit of the back, and I actually put some on the plants. I mean, on the ground. On the plants won't matter. But you can just take this stuff once it's all done and just kind of sprinkle it around.
And then you want to water afterwards, right?
Yeah, nematodes have to have water to move. They can't go anywhere if there's no water. So you gotta once you apply it, it's a good idea to water your lawn right after. And then you want to keep it, you know, we talk about water all the time. But your regular watering, even if you're doing an inch a week, that's enough water for it.
Mm-hmm.
You do that once or twice a week, that's plenty of water. They're gonna have what they need.
Kelly, real quick, asked, with the rain and then heat and just taking off the wall of waters, my tomatoes look bad and have yellow leaves.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Also, should I try shading them today?
No. No.
And we'll show a good example here.
I did the exact same thing. So that's what happened to this tomato. Left the wall of water on too long and it did scorch it a little bit. But you can see I took it off last week and the new growth is coming out just fine. So I wouldn't worry. Don't shade it. They love the sun. Just that wall of water amplified it a little bit too much. Yeah, you can see this is tomato boom that I put around it to help push the new growth, and it's doing it. So I wouldn't worry. It's gonna come out of it.
Jennifer, I thought you didn't remove the wall of water until the plants had grown up near the top of the wall.
And
Which yours would have been. I mean, that's...
that one was poking out of the top. And so the difference, these were on the same amount of time, but the difference was this one kept its cylinder shape, so the leaves weren't touching the side. But that one, the top caved in and made a cone shape.
It collapsed a little bit.
Yep, it collapsed a little bit. So if it's not touching the sides of the wall of water, you'll be fine. Where that one was touching all the way top to bottom, and that's what burnt it a little bit. But frost scares over, so I would say
You're
take
good
them
to,
off.
good
Yep.
to go.
Yep, good to go.
And it's getting warm, and that's what they needed anyway.
Yeah, they just wanted the heat.
Yeah. Okay, let's head back to the front. I'm going to talk about tree and shrub, which is the systemic. So we had a couple questions.
That's been our most common question so far.
Yeah. So here's
You see what Cory did to my beautiful salvia?
Yeah, I
there?
sure got that good.
Yeah, he's
There's
shredded
no
it.
bug control that's going to fix that. Sorry.
yeah. It's a $50 plant, Cory.
It is.
It's expensive. All right. So we get aphids in trees is a huge problem, something we're always dealing with. And you know, something like an ash, a beech tree, anything with red leaves essentially
Yeah.
will tend to have aphid problems. Even maples, they're gonna get on anything. And when you've got a big tree, it's really hard to spray it down or even use ladybugs. You know, it's a big tree, you can definitely use ladybugs, and I would recommend you do, but they're gonna take a long time to get up there. So the best thing to do for larger trees is use something like the tree and shrub. So this is a systemic, which means when you mix this up, you're gonna mix it up in water, and you're gonna pour it around the base of the tree, around the root flare is what they call it. And you just pour it all the way around in there. It's going to soak into the ground, and the tree's going to soak up all that stuff, and it's going to be inside the tree. And the tree will move it all the way up, all the way out to all of its branches. And then you'll have protection from aphids. As the aphids, or really any bug, tries to eat on it, it's going to ingest the chemical, and then it will die. So it's a really good, and the nice thing about this is it lasts for an entire year. So if you've got a tree that you've been constantly battling aphids, like an ash, like I said, you almost kind of have to do something like this if you want to stop the aphids from getting on there. It's best as a preventative, so fall is the best time. Even early spring is good, but if you've got a problem, you want to start doing something, get it on now. You can spray it, or you can use some ladybugs. In the meantime, they'll start controlling the population, and then this will take its time. It'll move up into the tree, and then you're good until the next year.
Yeah.
So this is a really great way to do it. To measure this, or the amount you use, is based on how big the tree is. So you're going to measure the circumference of the trunk. So you're going to measure all the way around, and however many inches that circumference is, that's how many ounces of this you'll use. And you use that many ounces into just 1 gallon of water until you get up to like
55 inches.
55 inches. So if it gets up to 55, then you're going to split it up into 2 gallons. So that's kind of the cutoff point. But you can still do it you can still apply it to larger trees. If you just keep hitting that, if it's a really big tree, you know, you might have to use a couple gallons. And the water's really just there to help you spread it out evenly around that area. It's not really a concentrate like, you know, a lot of the other things are. So this is a great thing. Your scale, this is the best thing for scale. Aphids, borers, there's a lot of other ones that it's going to take care of. Those are some of the bigger ones, the ones we see the most of. There are some different products that use a similar chemical for things like your baskets. And your trees and on your shrubs, it's not going to last an entire year. I think it's like 8 weeks, and then you'll want to reapply. So it'll cover you through a good part of the season, but you might have to do it a couple times on shrubs. But for trees, it lasts for an entire year. So this is a great way to go if you're dealing with scale or aphids or something like that in a big tree.
And that will do that cottony scale as well, Jennifer.
Yeah, this is probably your best thing for cottony scale.
Definitely.
And when you're seeing cottony scale right now, you're seeing them. They've opened up, and they're actually in the crawling stage. And the crawling stage is a really teeny little bug. I mean, you'll almost never see them. They're very, very small. And then they're looking to do their buggy things for the rest of the year. And then they lay eggs, which turns into that scale. That's where they live over the winter. And then it opens up, and that's when you see the cottony stuff. So right now, they're out. They're doing their stuff. So actually, the ladybugs would actually do fantastic for scale this time of year. But then if you want to stop them for good, go with the systemic.
Important to know it's very slow. On a tree, it moves 6 inches to a foot a day. So if it's 30 feet tall, it'll take at least a month to get to the top. Yeah, with that one.
Okay.
What's next?
I think next what we had was some more conventional controls. Let me double check here. If you have any questions, like I said, it looks like they're showing up now, so please feel free to ask. We're going to kind of go through these a little faster, I think. We've talked about some of these, but let's go. Why don't you cover the chinch bug control, Chris?
Chinch bug control. So again, like we talked about earlier, chinch bugs love the heat, so you'll just start seeing them now. Generally, you could use this as a preventative or a curative for chinch bug. It'll also do preventative on bill bugs. So there's 2 active ingredients in this one. One's the imidacloprid, which is the same thing that was in that tree and shrub systemic that Nolan was talking about. So again, it works through the root and up through the blade and affects the plant from top to bottom. So anything that chews on it, that will kill. And then it has the lambda cyfluthrin in it, which is a good surface kill. So anything that's crawling through it, including the chinch bugs, this does a good job as a killer.
Ants, earwigs, fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, all that. It does a great job.
Yeah, so you get 3-month protection on below ground insects and about 6-week protection on above ground insects.
So a lot of people that have been doing the grub control really regularly every year, this is a good one to switch to for your second application because you are getting some top kill in addition to what you were already getting with the bottom control or the the subsurface control. So this is a good one to use for your second application. So a lot of people that now is the time where a lot of people will put down their second application of grub control. Think about this one because you're getting some extra benefit from that one as well. So it's a good one to do, and it controls chinch bugs. This is what, if somebody comes in with chinch bugs, this is what they're walking home with.
Yeah, I think the biggest complaints people read on this, and they read season-long control. I think it's important to know a season's 3 months.
Right.
Spring, summer, fall, and winter. It's not your growing season, which seems to get confused a lot. So 90-day protection with this one.
Okay. Yeah. So Chris, I think we just go through these and we'll just talk about them as we go. So the next one I got is diatomaceous earth. So this is another really good organic pest control. It's really good for stopping bugs from getting into the house. If you've got ants in the house, you got spiders coming in, you can use this around your foundation. You probably wouldn't want to put it like up in your windowsills. That'd be kind of silly, but around your foundation, and again, you can use something like that little atomizer, the little puffer. Really easy way. It does come with a shaker top, but this is just a white powder. And actually, why don't we go pour it over the ants over here?
Sure.
And it works very differently. So it's not a chemical like a lot of the other ones where you spray it on and they're going to ingest it and they're going to die. The way DE works is they crawl through it. So diatoms are little microscopic sea bugs, I think, is essentially what they are. And they're when it's ground down, they're just very sharp.
Adult billbug.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well, let's show them. Let's check that out.
Billbug.
Yeah.
Because I'll bet a lot of people haven't seen that.
Yeah, that is an adult billbug. You can see it has that little snout on it, very weevil-like snout.
He's acting dead.
He is acting. He was just crawling.
Yeah.
He's very much alive.
He's camera shy.
Yep. But that is what an adult bill bug looks like. The grub looks like a fat grain of rice. A little, almost maggot-like.
Just like a grub.
Yeah, just like a grub. But yeah, that is an adult. Yeah, he is camera shy. Boy, they just freeze, don't they?
Yeah, they play dead. Did you
You want to get him with some diatomaceous earth?
I do.
Sweet.
I do.
Eat it.
This is just a bad day now, sir.
He's safe until he starts crawling.
That's kind
Yeah,
of
he's a
mean.
goner.
All right, so here over on the ants, you're just going to use a little bit of this. You don't need much. The thing about DE, it doesn't take to water very well. But doing just something like that, now they're going to crawl through that. As they crawl through it, all those diatoms, they have really sharp edges. It's going to cut in between their joints. It cuts right that joint, and then they essentially dehydrate. So they desiccate, and that's how they die. So if you've had ants that you just can't get rid of, just know that they die slowly, and they didn't have a good time.
They did not have a good time.
Just like little Miss Weevil over here. She's not going to make it back to the lawn.
Not gonna have a good time.
So DE is very good. It's organic. You can use it in the garden. A lot of people, they'll put it in their grains. You can ingest it. You don't want to breathe it. It's you want to be careful about the powder, because if it gets kind of airborne, you got to watch that. But I mean, people use it in, like I said, their grains. You can put it in grains for horses. It's a great wormer. Does a lot of things. So
you can apply it to dogs and cats for fleas and ticks. You can apply it to birds, like chickens.
Chickens
A lot of people
with
do it in the
mites.
nesting boxes for mites and lice.
so yeah, DE, very, very good.
She's running.
She's carrying it with her. All right, so DE is a good one. Reapply on a regular basis, because, like I said, if it gets wet, it's pretty much unusable. Like, it's not going to do anything. So you got to apply it a little more regularly, but it will do a tremendous job.
We had the broccoli question earlier. I imagine your damage looks a lot like this. This is a ligularia leaf. You can see how the veins were left here. That's probably more slug and snail. Big holes like that, probably earwig damage.
They love the same plants and the same.
Do almost always. You see one, the other one's near. So that's kind of what the damage looks like, and that broccoli leaf you had, I'm guessing, looks very similar to that. So that, I think we've talked about this one in almost every single video.
Yeah.
That's the bug and slug killer. Totally natural, spinosad and iron phosphate, so completely safe for your broccoli. It's just a pellet, little pepper shaker top on there, and it doesn't take much. This bottle covers 6,000 square feet. So, and people always say it's half empty. They forgot to fill it, but that's because the bottle is also the applicator. So it works best is just using a little shaker can and just a light peppering in the area.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yep.
Works great.
Yeah, but especially anything in the shade, anything where leaf matter's hanging
Did
out.
you show this one? Corey grabbed this sample too, we found.
That one you can see the slug and
Yeah,
snail
so this
damage a lot better.
Almost transparent.
Yeah, they haven't eaten all the way through, but that's what they just eat at the top. They just kind of
Scrape at it.
scrape it down until it kind of falls out and dies. Which is, I mean, you know, if you can get on top of it, there's nothing wrong with this leaf. Just because it's got some damage, plants are
It's still
amazing.
photosynthesizing.
You know, they're still working, they're still doing their thing. So if you can get on top of it, you can cover a lot.
Just know a leaf will never repair.
Right.
Once it's damaged, it's damaged.
Yeah.
The new growth will come out fine, but yeah, it can't repair itself.
All right. Next.
Such a gentleman.
I am. So I'm going to talk about a couple here because they're kind of similar. They're different things, but they do similar things. They have similar control methods. So this is the last call. This is a tremendous insect control for particularly like your worms. So like if you've got the geranium budworms, the tobacco budworms, you've got hornworms on the tomatoes, codling moss. This is a really good one for codling moss, and or the western cherry fruit fly. If you've got your fruit trees, this is probably one of the best ones to use for that. It's, again, organic. It's a bacteria, so it's safe to use on lots of things. I think you can apply this up to date harvest, and it works really well. I particularly use this one a lot when I've got spinach and I'm getting leaf miners. So a leaf miner looks like the adult looks like a little fly. You would mistake it for a housefly, but they lay eggs, and the larva that comes out eats in between the top and bottom layer of a leaf. So you see a lot in spinach. You'll see it if you've had an elm, you've had some sort of leaf miner, like guaranteed. But this is a great one for that, because you can use it on all those leafy greens, and there's no ill effects to you. It's just going to kill bugs. So this is a really good one. I wanted to talk about BT really quickly because we don't. BT is kind of like what Last Call used to be. This is one that it's stuck around, but it has a couple of very specific purposes, particularly like bagworms.
Tent caterpillars.
Tent caterpillars, right. So if you're, particularly if you're like up in the hills, you got a lot of pine trees, you got a lot of spruce trees out there, something like BT is going to be the one to go to, because it's going to control those tussock moths, a lot of those other caterpillars really well. Again, this is just for caterpillars. It doesn't really control anything else but caterpillar stage. And again, it's a bacteria, Bacillus thuringiensis.
I was going to ask you.
Were you going to try to get me to say it?
That was my next one. Did you see the smile?
Bacillus thuringiensis. So it's, you know, something, you know, you eat bacillus and a lot of, not this, don't drink this. But I mean, there's, you know, lots of lactobacillus. It's, you know, there are lots of good bacteria, and this is another one that's safe to use on a lot of things, but a little more specialized, I think, for those kind of tougher worms that are a little harder to get to. So that's these two.
Nice. I got a couple that I'll talk about too. One, promised Cory I would do this. So bugs breathe through these little holes that are in their sides. I can never remember the name of that one. That's like yeah, don't remember.
That's good stuff.
I have to ask Jim Zamzos, but we're gonna call those little holes semi-permeable membranes, just for Cory.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you.
That's right.
That takes the pressure off. I've been trying to figure out how to get that in there.
So the way neem oil works is it plugs those holes and makes them non-permeable membranes.
All right, thank you, folks. We're done here.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, so it just coats the bug and allows or not allows them to breathe anymore. Yeah, so it's just a good suffocant. It's an oil. It has to coat them in order to kill. It's not a good preventative, because if you just spray the leaf, I think you only have a couple hours of effectiveness before it's dried and no longer effective. But while wet, very effective on any soft-bodied insects. Aphids being one of them.
Spider mites in particular.
Yeah, that's the
Spider
only
mites.
thing I recommend for mites.
Yep.
It's like just superior to everything else.
Yep, and does a good job with powdery mildew. Yeah, so it's kind of a 3-in-1.
Yeah.
But talking about spider mites, it's important to know, because a lot of people say I put tree and shrub on my plant and I still have spider mites. You have to use a miticide for spider mites, not an insecticide. So this one does do both. They're mites.
Spiders. They're in the...
Yeah, so a good one as a suffocant, totally natural. All it is the neem oil from a neem tree. Yeah, so completely natural. Kind of a synthetic form is the Z1. So this one is the lambda cyfluthrin in it. So the liquid form of the chinch bug that we were talking about. But a great one for your crawling insects, earwigs. Again, it'll do aphids. In the ready-to-use bottle, it has houseplant directions, so you can spray it on the houseplants, but it's pretty diluted for that. Concentrated, you would not do that with. But most very non-selective on what it'll kill. Again, it won't do slugs or snails or spider mites.
Mandy asks, will neem oil kill the baby mantids I just released?
Yes, if wet, like if it got coated on them, yes, it would.
And that's kind of that thing we were talking about earlier, where organic doesn't mean it doesn't kill good stuff. You know
right.
what I mean? It kills everything. It's just a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, I
it's
think
safe for us.
dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you spray a bee with that, you're going to kill a bee.
and a thing to think
Yeah.
about,
It's actually very toxic to bees.
you could use this, and then you could release your ladybugs or your mantids, you know, the next day. That's totally fine.
Correct.
If you do this, the Z1, you're going to be about 14 days
To a
before
month.
you,
To a
yeah,
month, yeah.
before you would want to use this. So that's where you got to look at, like, what's your overall strategy for getting rid of the bugs. And that's kind of why I've just tended more towards the organic, because, you know, you can employ a couple of different things and you end up doing a lot less work.
Yeah.
This one you're going to have to put out. As soon as that plant grows, you got to spray it again, because that new growth doesn't have anything on it. But there are situations where I would definitely go to this because I need something to kill it really fast. And that's where something like this comes in.
Right. I would use all of these as a
We're gonna have a truck. We're gonna have a truck come by here real quick. So
Should we all wave?
Yeah.
Yeah, wave.
Let's walk up back towards the front of the house, and I got one more thing to talk about.
We have to check on ladybugs too.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I got one more thing to talk about here. This is a newer product, and I was asking Cory and Chris if they've used it yet. You haven't used this yet,
I
man?
have not used it yet. Nope.
Okay, so this Thursday I pre-recorded our radio show, which will be on at 11 o'clock if you want to listen, KBOI 670.
If you haven't had enough of Nolan.
Anyway, it's going to be a good show because Gary Yandel from our Middleton store is going to be, and he and I are talking about in that show fruit tree, berry, grape care for this time of year. So it's very
Nice.
timely. It's very good.
Gary's a good one for that.
And,
It
yeah,
is
and
an
Gary is
excellent one for
tremendous.
that.
He says he has a small orchard, but it's like 20 trees. And anyway, so
and grapes galore. So,
yeah, he's
a
really
pro.
good at that. He's very good. But he has started using this Revitalize, and he was telling me about it. We talked about it in the show on the radio at 11. But this is a biological fungicide. So it's actually using a bacteria similar to like what we were talking about with last call and DT. I don't know the name of it. It's another bacillus.
It is a bacillus. I know that, but I don't know the.
So it covers fire blight, fruit rot. He said this is probably the best thing that he's been using for powdery mildew because it will start to cure. The thing about powdery mildew is once we see the mildew, once we see all that white, it's actually spored out. It's actually spread, and that's why a lot of the other copper fungicides and things like that don't do anything for it. You got to spray those way in advance before you ever see that. Neem doesn't cure it, it just strips all that spore off. It helps clean the leaf off, but it doesn't cure the fungus. And what Gary was telling me is that using this on your powdery mildew, even after you've seen it, will begin to not only clean it off, but start to cure that powdery mildew. So you can actually get control of powdery mildew in season, and it's organic, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So you can use it on your fruit, you can use lots of stuff. So I've not used it, I'm looking for an opportunity to.
There's powdery mildew right over there.
Yeah, we can go
Right.
spray it. I don't think we're going to see anything happen.
No.
But
Yeah, have a 9 bark over here that's guaranteed
there's a 9
you're
bark.
gonna get powdery mildew.
9 bark and powdery mildew are one and the same.
Corey, I got some flowers here. If you could not smash them,
You wanted this flat, right?
that would be great.
But yeah, like, you know, a 9 bark, red leaf 9 bark, always going to have powdery mildew
All over
on it. Yeah. You can see the spores flying around. So you can just start spraying it off wherever you see it, and you can see how it's on the stems too. Try to get onto those stems. But yeah, Gary's been using this on his fruit trees. He's been using it on anything that he's been having a hard time with. Coat it pretty good. Got an interesting smell. But anyway, I mean, you can see it's, I mean, you know, it's kind of
Cleaning it.
stripping it off a little bit. So maybe Chris can take some pictures and send them to me. We can do an update.
But it does smell.
It smells like bacteria.
Yeah.
It smells like bacillus.
Should we check on the ladybugs? See
Yeah.
how they're doing? They're happy.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they're all out and about.
Yeah, and this is great because there's a food source right there. They're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, working the bud really hard right here, which
Oh yeah.
that's usually their favorite spot for aphids.
Man, isn't that awesome?
Yeah, they're going to town.
I mean, some of the aphids we
There's
were looking
one
at
just
before are
down
just
there.
gone now. They're fast.
They are fast. Yeah, just a little bit ago, he said how slow it would be.
That's the one that we showed that had all the red ones that was just covered.
And it's already clean.
Already clean. Yep.
That's awesome.
That is actually incredible. I didn't think they'd do it that fast.
Well, I think
I
that
was
we had
hoping
a,
we'd see him eat them, but we're too late.
I think we had a couple of things in our favor. This overcast sky kept them here, and also there was a food source here. So they didn't have to go anywhere. They just hung out. How did that lid end up? They all off the lid?
Yeah, they're crawling all over the ground there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just all over this rose. I don't know how many you'll see on the camera, but it's pretty cool.
I wonder if any of them found the house. Nope. They'll probably crawl up there in the night.
Once they're full.
Yeah, they've been in a cup for a while, so
Yeah.
they probably are hungry.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really great. I mean, we got to see it happen.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. Okay, so that's about all we had to cover today, I think. Oh, you know what we were going to do? I wanted to show people how to do a test, a really simple test. I call it the white paper test
Oh.
for thrips and or spider mites. If you got them in a plant, if you're concerned.
You might, on the front of that spirea,
Yeah.
you just might have some luck.
So if we don't find any, that's fine. But basically what I want to show you, this is what I would do at the stores when I had to.
There's freckles on that.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of wondering if that.
Yeah. So really all you do is you just take a white piece of paper, and you want it to be white because the bugs will show up better on it. But you can just tap them really good and then take it out. Yep, there's one right there.
There we go.
Sure enough.
Some little spider mites. You see them jumping
See 'em
around?
jumping, yeah.
I don't know if they'll, yeah.
Can you see them?
Yep, sure enough.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there's a lot of them on there. Good job, Chris.
That's how their damage always starts. These little freckles on that leaf. I don't know if you can see that, but that's generally how it starts.
Yeah.
And it goes downhill quick.
They are kind of like, I mean, they suck the juice out, so that's how it chews up. They're eating individual cells as they go through, and then they'll just explode. And when you get that warm period, you might notice a whole bunch of webbing through it.
Yeah.
If you get a big population bloom, you'll see a ton of webbing. But it's a really easy thing to do. If you've got some flowers and you're not sure why they're not doing well, you might have thrips. Do the same thing. Cut that flower off and just hit the flower over the paper. You'll knock some of those bugs out, and you can see, okay, yep, I got thrips, and then you got stuff for that.
Yeah.
And
You'll
you
know
take care of
thrip if you're getting the bloom or the bud and it never opens. That thrip just stayed in there and it ate the whole center out.
Right, it eats
So yeah, if your buds are never opening, that's chances are thrip. And they're not any bigger than those spider mites. They're
very
tiny.
small, yeah, very small. And you can find them, that's the thing, is like they're everywhere. They just don't necessarily always kill things, or all the way. But you'll notice them a lot on roses in particular.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's about all we had to cover. So we'll just leave it for a second. If you have any questions pertaining to bugs or anything else you might be seeing out in the garden. I know last week was hot. It's
Getting
supposed
hot.
to get hot again.
Oh yeah, it's
It's hot right
happening
now.
Right
Yeah.
now.
You guys both
These-
have a healthy glow about
Yeah.
you.
Do we? I have that all the time. But you know, so things are changing. We're getting into that summertime period, and you're gonna start to see a lot of things happening. And so, you know, if you've got questions, you can always answer them or ask them on Facebook.
Speaking of the heat, your phone said it's getting warm. Some features may
Okay,
not work.
well, we
while
better
it
wrap
cools
it up
down,
then.
So.
Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. If you have questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments. We'll answer them later. A couple weeks we're going to be doing, I think we're going to do something for water care. We're going to do sprinkler repair. I'm going to make these guys clean up my sprinklers, which is going to be great for me.
I can't film me.
And we're gonna
I go feeling.
and we're gonna show you how to measure your water and do some of those things. Use our water audit kit. So okay,
Nice.
so we got to better finish it up because it's getting hot. My phone's gonna die, and we don't want that to happen. So thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. Sorry about the weirdness at the beginning, but have questions, ask us anytime. We'll answer them. Have a good one, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.